Welcome, welcome. This is day 2 of Salesforce Industry Week. We are so incredibly excited to have everyone here today. We have an amazing panel today. We're going to be talking about life sciences and bringing up some really interesting topics about Salesforce and what it can do for you. So my name is Andrew Duncan. I am the Senior Partner Account Manager at Cloud Adoption Solutions, and I'm just thrilled to have you guys here. So Cloud Adoption Solutions is a Salesforce certified partner. We are 100% women owned. And as the slide says, we help small and medium businesses in many verticals put focus on Salesforce optimization and adoption. So we're really excited to bring up some of these topics today and to give people a lot of free advice. So please wait until the very end. We do have some time to answer questions. So if you do have a question, please put it into the chat box or into the question box, and we will get to it. So we will be answering those at the end. And then additionally, every day this week, we will be doing a swag bag giveaway. Super fun stuff. So we will pick somebody randomly at the end who is joined and send them a swag bag for free. So stick around and we will get that done. So thank you so much for joining. Let's go ahead and get started, guys. So for Industry Week, we really decided that we wanted there to be a direct example, someone that we've worked with that we could use to really showcase some of the issues in these industries. So for life sciences, a director of contracts and proposals is incredibly crucial for the security and for the success of the office. So we wanted to take somebody who we had worked with before and we could really prop up as an example. So some of the issues and challenges that they face are proposals are requested through email. So when it's done in email, when these proposals are requested, it's not a secure database at all times. It's very easy to get lost in the shuffle. I lose emails all the time. I can't tell you how many times I have to message Shannon and say, what's the keyword I should look up to find this email? And the same can be said for proposals. It creates a huge lapse in that time cadence. Proposals are time sensitive and need to be tracked. So same deal. The proposals need to follow that cadence. You want to close them as fast as possible. You want to get them out, have them be done correctly, and you want them to get to the client on time. So they need to be tracked through the process so that you can understand and break it down. And then proposal templates are stored on local drives. This can be super dangerous sometimes because what if there's a thunderstorm? I know we've had horrible weather last week. What if those drives go down? What if they're damaged? What if they're stolen or lost? Those templates, once they're gone forever and you can never get them back. And I know from personal experience, it's not fun to go rewrite templates. It is a huge pain. So Shannon, what can we see for some solutions for some of these issues and challenges?
This one was a great one. It was very heady. When we were brainstorming what would be the two most interesting problems for life sciences, one of the things Natalie and I talked about, and we've had experience with clinical services organizations and clinical research organizations, both as an end user and now, of course, as consultants, proposals and contracts are always a huge challenge because there's such a high volume piece for a business development team working in the life sciences industry. So we came up with what I thought was a really juicy problem, which was a director of C&P came to us and she said, hey, look, we're being crushed by volume. We don't know where these things are. We don't have a queue of who got assigned what proposal. We don't know if the proposals went out to the pharmaceutical companies and the biotechs and biopharm companies. We can't track them. And we know that sometimes we're being asked to bid on the same compound or the same trial by multiple different people. So they were looking for a way to say, how can we keep this tracked so that we can keep this pertinent information? We can manage it from the C&P side of it. We can also let the salespeople have some visibility into it so they understand what happened to their proposal or contract request. And then we also can give visibility to our friends in other departments too. So, life sciences just moves so quickly and everything's so dependent on what phase the trial is. And phase 1 results may dictate whether or not there even is a phase 2, and same for phase 2 into phase 3. And so one of the things that we thought was really important, interesting, and unique about this particular industry was the high volume of proposals, the rapid pace at which they pass through, and the ability to give people visibility into that so they can have some clue as to, what type of operational resource planning should they be doing, and what type of financial planning and analysis can they actually apply to these things. Because we know once you've reached proposal stage, the stage probability really increases. So there's a lot at stake here. This is a really heady problem. And Natalie came up with such a brilliant solution that I could not wait for her to demo this to you so that you could see exactly what she said she was going to do. So as she transitions into showing you her demo, I wanted to tell you that we sat around and we worked with the client to say, okay, let's come up with your problems and your solutions, and then we're going to put it into 3 phases. We're going to design what we think is the best solution. We're going to build and test as well. So they were involved in the entire iterative process so they could say, okay, we actually want to look up for this field, and we want this to point somewhere else, and we want this to be visible so that everybody knows what's going on in case the CRO partner channel team comes up with a proposal for the same exact thing as the direct to pharma team. So I am so excited, Natalie, for you to take us into this demo because I think it is so cool. And I will tell you, in all the years I spent as an end user in life sciences, I would have been thrilled to pieces if I had access to a solution like this.
Yeah, it's completely understandable. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. And mind you, the basis for Salesforce, we all know, is relationships. So what a better way to bridge the gap between a sales team and a proposal team by building a relationship object in Salesforce that they could both interact and engage on. So our solution came about by a client using an Excel spreadsheet to capture all of their proposal work. So not only were they capturing the dates the RFPs would come in, the dates they went out, who was working on them. And if you think about it, if a field exists on an Excel spreadsheet, that same field can exist in Salesforce. So our solution was to build a proposal object for this particular client. So what we're looking at here is a sample opportunity record. And this opportunity is at a stage where it's in proposal price quote. And at this point, the sales team would typically send an email to proposal coordinator or the proposal team or the manager saying, hey, I need a piece of content. I need help with this RFP. Can you help me? And maybe that email gets read, maybe it gets lost. We're not sure. Sometimes things happen and that's completely understandable. But this solution gives the salesperson the ability to engage with the proposals team directly from the opportunity record. So what you see here is a related list on the side called proposals. And I'm a salesperson. I'm logging into my opportunity. I'm going to click new proposal. And that brings up a screen, basically a form with some fields to fill out. And you can make these fields required if needed, or if the salesperson only wants a specific set of fields to populate, you can customize it in that manner too. But this is the engagement. This is how sales is going to engage proposals. They're going to pull up this form. The status of this proposal is new, so we can default that to new. We're going to select what it is we need. So if we just need a ballpark or a budget, or if we need a full proposal, change order, revision, you can capture any type of proposal that you're typically working with. So we're just going to pick full proposal for this one. We're going to populate a due date that the client is looking to have the proposal back. The opportunity is related here, so this pulls in, it's a formula field. We can easily set that up. Sales team can put in comments if needed, if they want to interact with the proposal coordinator at any time. And they can even list a scope of services. So if you want to list out what it is your solutions are, they can make the selection there. And at this point, this is all sales needs to do. Let's click save. So in the background, you have a queue set up. And in this queue, there's a list of proposals being captured. And the contracts and proposals manager will come in, take a look at the queue, and start assigning out work. So as you can see, there's a record here that was created, the proposal request record. This pulls up the form that was just filled out. It populates some data. It pulls in the related opportunity, the amount, the account name. And there's a section here for proposal coordinator details. What you can do is populate the person who's going to be assigned to this deal to start working on the proposal. Proposal team comments can be entered, and let's just save this record. So you can see there's a history building at the bottom, so we can capture historical data. So any field you want to track, you can start tracking it. You can even upload files. So let's say you have the full proposal completed and you want to upload the file to this record, you can do so that other departments can come in and take a look at the document itself. The proposal coordinator is also going to advance the proposal through its own life cycle. So moving it to in progress. Sometimes we put them on hold because we're waiting on sales to provide something to us. Sometimes it's on hold for non-sales related issue, but obviously we want to get to a completed status. So once it's completed, we can mark it as such. And what you can see here is we celebrate that fact, right? That's a great job by the proposal team. Up here in this notification section, I've built out some notifications where you can notify the salesperson when the proposal is complete. You can notify the proposal coordinator when it's been assigned. So there's a multitude availability of automation that we can set up here. And other ways you can track these proposals, you can create a list view. So the contracts and proposals manager can come in here and take a look at what's outstanding, sort it by due date, sort it by status, and they can basically just see where they're at for the week and what still needs to be assigned. Another piece of metric you can do with these proposals is a dashboard. So if you want to take a look at some metrics related to the type of proposals that are being worked, what status are they in, and how many we created for the month, you can filter this by the actual coordinator working, so you can drill down to that level of detail. If you want to take a look at what pipeline has been coming in and what's due for the month from a proposal standpoint, you can also build out that report metric. So as you can see, there's a lot of things you can do, a lot of fields you can capture. Everything's reportable. And like I said in the beginning, if you're capturing this information on an Excel spreadsheet, you can build an object in Salesforce and capture all those fields and be able to report on them.
I love that so much, Natalie, because I know when I was managing proposal teams in life sciences, one of the big factors that went into my annual review was turnaround time. And therefore, every single person on the contracts and proposals team also was measured on turnaround time. And one of the things that we had that was such a huge challenge was waiting on sales, that waiting on sales thing where a salesperson would be so excited. They wanted to get their proposal request in the queue so they could start getting it worked on, but they hadn't told you yet how many patients they needed to recruit, how many countries were going to be involved in the study, whether or not they needed translations. And without those things, it's impossible for a proposal person to price it. So sometimes our turnaround time would look like it was really long, but the reality was we were waiting on somebody else. And so when you showed me that one piece of the demo, I was like, this is amazing. That one tiny thing that you put into this. And I thought, that really would have saved, so much manual calculation that I had been doing at the time. And so I think that demo is so beautiful, and it just so elegantly says, here's an easy way to capture the things that you need when you're measuring the proposals and contracts process, which is, the crux of what is happening in the sales process in life sciences.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's amazing how you can really tell that both Natalie and Shannon have spent a lot of time in life sciences because it is so, particular and so catered to what they need. So let's go ahead and move on. Thank you, Natalie, so much for that first demo. It was fantastic, and I can't wait to see the second one.
Sure.
All right, so another challenge. So we picked another role within a life sciences organization. So another very, very important role would be the VP of Customer Success. customer success is crucial to the success of the office and the company as itself. So what do we see from some of these challenges? Well, there is no defined onboarding process. So this might surprise a lot of people, but for some reason, a lot of companies have a really hard time defining their processes. And this is no different in the life sciences sector. So a lot of companies are still a little bit behind. They don't have a defined onboarding process. They did something once and it worked well, so they kept doing it. Or something was in place before and they kept doing it, but it hasn't been defined in strict terms. Onboarding has been done outside of Salesforce. So this is something we see across the board, but really, really big in life sciences. Now, when they're not doing onboarding within Salesforce, they're doing it somewhere else, there becomes that lapse in technology. It's not streamlined. You have to auto-populate those fields. You have to put them in. They're not auto-populating themselves. So a lot of times you miss out on certain key pieces, and it can really be, detrimental. And there's a lack of streamlined success, and that comes down to the lack of integration. They're not thinking through processes as far as technology. So when you don't have streamlined success coming in, it's really hard to track the customer journey, customer happiness, and the customer process. And that in turn makes it so hard for sales and service and delivery and customer success to all work together to make it as streamlined and as well fit as possible. So Shannon, what are some solutions for these issues?
Yeah, this was a great and juicy problem. I think when this one came to us, we were like, wow, this is awesome. It was a contract research organization that had a VP of customer success, and they just grew so quickly that their processes weren't able to keep up with their demand. So they were giving really white glove service to the companies that they were onboarding, but what was happening with that sustained growth is they were not able to also sustain customer success at the same pace. So when they came to us and said, hey, look, we're missing things. We're getting approvals to work at risk, but we don't know where to track them. We need to assign a project manager because the first patient's going to be recruited 3 days from now. We've got all of these issues that are surrounding onboarding and so many moving pieces and parts, and we just don't know where to do it. Do we put it in Salesforce? Do we put it in our ERP system? Do we put it in our project management system? And so when they came to us with this, Natalie started thinking about the ways that she could say, okay, what are the sort of leading indicators that you need to keep track of? What are the lagging pieces that you need to keep track of? And how can we put it into one place where everybody who needs access to it can have access to it so they can plan when they need to? And this one was super cool. I mean, I think it was a problem that we see a lot of companies run into where they have to plan for all these moving pieces and parts because trials are so complex. They really are. That's why this industry is one that I think is both a huge challenge when you're looking at that golden triangle, right, of people, process, and technology, but also a huge opportunity, and one that I think when I see Salesforce customizations in life sciences, I'm like, yeah, you're really stretching what Salesforce can do, and I love it. And, although yesterday in our healthcare section, we talked a little bit about onboarding. Onboarding for healthcare is entirely different than life sciences onboarding. So when we were looking at the two different demos and saying, okay, we've got a healthcare onboarding, we've got life sciences onboarding, they are massively different because although a lot of people will lump them together and say HLS, wow, what happens once you sign a contract is markedly different. So we will have all of these up on YouTube so you can compare them yourself to see, wow, the onboarding is so challenging and so different. But this piece that Natalie has put together, I think will start to open your eyes to the number of things that you can keep track of in Salesforce so that it really can not only be your centralized source of truth, but it can be your centralized source of engagement and planning so that when you've got something like a trial that's got so many moving pieces and parts, while you're chasing down contracts, while you're assigning out resources, this is such a beautiful solution that will allow everybody to see, here's what's going on, here's what we're missing, and here's how we can make sure that we can hurry up and get this trial going. So Natalie, I am really excited for this demo too.
This was a fun one. And the only reason I say fun is because everyone who's been in sales operations before knows the struggle and the pain of getting everybody all in one place at one time. So I got to sit and think of all the different departments that are involved in the implementation of a deal. So this is what we're going to show you today. We're going to go back to the same opportunity that we just did the proposal for. And so the proposal was accepted. The verbal award came in, the salesperson is ecstatic, and they're gonna close their opportunity. They won. So we're at the point where we're gonna celebrate, and we need to start this process of project engagement. So what we've done is created an onboarding custom object. And as you can see here, after I closed my opportunity, the record launched and a new onboarding record was created. So I'm just gonna click on it. So the onboarding itself has its own journey. So we put in a path. So as the onboarding progresses and the project gets to a launched phase, you can take it through in progress, finalizing, launch, and you can customize any of this terminology for what you see fit. But what we've done here is create a form to capture information. And that information is departments and involvement of those departments. So when a deal is won, typically everything in Salesforce stops and the salesperson just throws their hands up and says, okay, who's going to help me now? So this solution is the answer to that question. We've built a form that outlines different sections, which creates accountability. So after we receive the award, sales has a couple of tasks to do. So they're going to come to their onboarding record and they're going to populate what they've done as far as next steps. So they need to schedule an internal meeting. They have to submit a contract request, send out the survey. Let's just click save on this record so you can see that we're populating data and creating history for this onboarding record. So sales operations has their own set of tasks. So what we're going to do, sales operations will come in and assign themselves to this project. They're going to assign out project team members, create some tasks, look at the closed won checklist, make sure it's accurate, update the commission table. Anything that sales operations lead typically does, you can have as a field on this record. Normally the sales operations person is also steering this entire project. So we have them, higher up in the layout because they're the ones who are going to take care of the assignments going forward. So next we have contracts. We're going to assign a contract coordinator. We're going to start tracking the dates of the MSA. When was it created? When was it assigned and signed by the client? When did we receive it back? When is it countersigned? That way anyone can come in and at any point see the status of the contract itself. We can assign an approver. We can start populating the dates the SOW was created, countersigned. And as you're populating this information, keep in mind all of this is reportable. So you can then come in and just build a report based upon missing dates. So how many onboarding records do we have out there that the MSA hasn't been delivered back yet? You can now find out that information all in one spot. So we need to get IT involved. What's their job? Let's assign someone. They're gonna need to set the client up in backend systems. So we wanna make sure that they know that they're doing this. Maybe they need to create a JIRA profile. Marketing needs to come in here. We need to make sure they send the welcome package and start scheduling the client engagement journey. Finance is going to have to be assigned. They have to set up the client billing portal and create invoice delivery. And lastly, we have project management. They need to schedule the kickoff meeting with the client. So as you can see, like I said in the beginning, we're creating accountability and we're visualizing it. And anyone from any of these departments can come in here and see the status of this particular client's project. Obviously, we want to get this project to a launched phase, and the sales operations lead would be the person who's managing this record itself. We want to celebrate that feat. We took the client from award to implementation, and now they're billing. So that's the stage we want to get at. And as far as measuring this information, you can simply create a list view to capture important data related to the onboarding process. This gives you a quick look to see who isn't assigned yet. So if we have some projects out there and we're missing a contracts liaison, well, let's get that populated. If marketing needs to be assigned here too, We're going to populate that information and just simply save it directly on your list view. That way, everyone with access to the list view can just hop in here and just check to see to make sure everything is on track.
Love that one so much.
Great.
Andrew can testify. When we did the dry run of this and Natalie showed this, I was like, gosh, this would solve so many problems for, so many companies. Of course, we were working with a particular person that had this challenge, but it's something that I think applies to all of life sciences, whether you're on the CRO side, you're on the direct provider side. These are things that you're always going to be facing against, because as we know, as compounds move their way through clinical trial phases, things move so fast, and there are things that you're just waiting to see happen, right? Like, should we start to get these sites on board? Should we start to recruit these patients? Are these things happening? And so the sales cycle is so different than in every other industry. On Friday, we're going to be doing technology and SaaS companies, and that's so much more cut and dry about when the contract is signed, right? Somebody signs a contract and a bunch of things happen. And with life sciences, because there are so many moving pieces and parts that often happen before contract signature, having one place to do it all is beyond exciting for, the salesperson who's also managing that relationship, right? And I know, Natalie, I've seen you do this in action many times, both when you and I work together for a CRO and for many of our clients who are on the CRO, CSO, and, pharma and biotech side. And it's just a universal problem, isn't it?
It's a great way to enforce adoption too. So if you're struggling with getting finance to use Salesforce, this forces them to be able to log in and take a look at the opportunity and the proposal and the onboarding record page. So it's a great vehicle to get everybody on the same page using one system.
It's a really good point too.
Yeah, and those commonalities are so interesting, and we're going to see them throughout the week. And I don't know if anyone is going to attend every single day because they are specific verticals, but if you were, you would see some of those commonalities. And speaking of which, tomorrow we do have a very, very exciting new segment coming up. It's going to be financial services and professional services with Lucas. So we're going to see some amazing information tomorrow. So I think now, why don't we go ahead and open it up to questions? I know we had a couple come in. Shannon, could we please go over those?
Definitely. So I have two of them. The first one that I have, and if anybody else has one, feel free to pop it in the chat. But Natalie, this question is for you. How do you decide when to bring in an app exchange app versus building custom in Salesforce?
That is a good question. So case by case basis, obviously, but the most important things that I look for if it's an app versus doing it myself, I would say cost is number one. What is it going to cost the client to maintain that app? Is there a monthly fee versus us building a custom object for a one-time solution? So cost is number one. I try to take a look at the complexity of the situation. So if you install an app, it's going to be managed. So that developer is managing that package, which means if you bring somebody like Cloud Adoption in to help with that package, we're going to be limited with what we can do. So in that instance, I may lean towards a custom object, because not only can we just build it for you, but we can also hand it over to you so that you can maintain it. Salesforce is clicks, not code, right? So we want to make sure that you can use the product if we did not exist going forward. So we just want to make sure that, you can use the product at the end of the day. So cost, how complex it is, and just basically maintenance on the solution itself. So those are the things that I typically look at.
But those are really good parameters, and it reminds me, Natalie, we had a request one time for somebody who wanted an app exchange app that was older and it hadn't been maintained, and it was developed in Classic and it had zero visibility in Lightning. And I can remember when you tested it out, you were like, "Hey, this doesn't even show now. This app just doesn't even work anymore." And I think that's one of the considerations that I've seen you bring to the table before that I think is really important for everybody who's kind of tussling with this challenge.
Absolutely. All right, so
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this one's probably for Natalie. What are you looking forward to in the Winter 21 release?
Oh gosh, the first thing that comes to mind, there's going to be an enhancement on opportunity Kanban views. So if you haven't heard about this yet, you're going to love it. So if you currently use the Kanban view for your opportunity pipeline management, there's now going to be visibility brought to a change in close date and amount. So they're going to highlight the color. It's going to turn red or it's going to turn green. And you're going to know right away when you're looking at your list view that something has changed. So even if you're a manager, you're looking at your employees pipeline through Kanban, you're going to see those enhancements. And I think that's pretty cool. The other thing that I quickly saw that I was super excited about relates to custom objects too, because when you create a custom object, you're creating custom fields. Now with Winter 21, there's going to be the ability to automatically add those fields to reports. In the past, if you build a custom report, you have to go back into that report and pull in those new fields, which can be a hassle because when you're trying to quickly create a report and you're saying, why isn't this field showing? And then you have to remember it was custom. I have to add it to my custom report. Well, now that's going to be all done for you. So if you're thinking of building custom objects with Winter 21, reporting is going to be so much more easy.
Those are both super exciting. And I think the one that's showing, you know, any changes to the dates and stage for sales managers, that's going to be powerful because you used to have to use a BI tool to show you that, right? And so now for Salesforce to show it to you natively, it's going to be super helpful for those coachable moments for the sales managers to say, you know, why did this push again? Because we all know anytime you push a close date, your probability actually goes down, right? So that is really cool. I can't wait to see that one in action.
Yep, I'm sure we've all seen those field history reports. They're not real fun to build and maintain and to read as a user. So this is going to be super easy. I can't wait.
Really exciting stuff. So it doesn't look like we have any more questions that have come in. So thank you so much. You can always ask us questions by emailing us at Cloud Adoption Solutions or visiting our website. But we all will have our contacts available. So feel free to connect with us after this. Ask us any questions you might have. And Shannon, I know we have one last order of business before we sign off to pick someone for the swag bag. So if we can do the random pick and go ahead and get it going.
We do. I will do that. And while it's randomly picking, I will say whoever wins, please make sure you just PM us your address and we will send you the swag bag, which includes a couple of really fun pieces. And we will be posting the recording for this out to everybody who will be able to see it because we want you to be able to build these same things in your org or let us know if you need some help. So it is Ross O. Ross O, congratulations. You have won the swag bag. We're going to be excited to send it to you. Send us your address.
All right. Thank you guys so much. And like I said before, we do have more content coming this week. So tomorrow we're going to be doing professional services and financial services, and we have technology at the end of the week. So we have some really, really great stuff coming. So please join if you can, or let someone know if you know somebody in those services. But as always, thank you so much for joining. Shannon, Natalie, thank you so much. And you guys have a wonderful day, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.
Happy Industry Week.
Bye.
Happy Industry Week. See you guys.